Welcome to this week's episode 4. I can't believe we already will have 4 under our belt for this beautiful podcast called Sit in It, with myself hosting as Tracy A. Martin, a hypnotherapist practitioner and a life guide intuitive. I have my other beautiful team member here, another accountability coach, Charismatic Candy. Would you like to say a few words today?
Hi, everyone. I'm Charismatic Candy. Just want to introduce myself and say thanks for joining us. I look forward to what today is going to bring for answers, whatever questions come, and just have fun digging in and sitting in it.
Thank you so much, Charismatic Candy. So we have 3 beautiful souls that have sent questions in for me to sit in with you today. And Charismatic Candy, would you like to take it away with the first one?
You bet. Our first question actually comes from Belle. And Belle writes, I feel like I don't know what my place is in this world or what I'm supposed to be doing, but I still know that I am unconditional love and light. Is that the ego death? I feel like I want to be doing so many great things to be helping people, but I'm not manifesting it fast enough for it to become my reality and fulfill my dreams.
Okay. Wonderful question, Belle. Thank you for submitting your question. So, the first place I would love for you to sit in is old broken mind traps, believing that you should even ever have an ego death. So, when you understand or understand that the ego, or what I will term the P mind, is about the age of a 5-year-old, who is the 5-year-old you, who had been taught it needed to be the ones making decisions. You gave it the keys to your car to drive your car. And then you want to turn around and have an ego death. You want to kill the ego? There's not one part of you that should not ever be killed on any level. It should be loved, listened to, accepted, honored, and understood where it plays in this whole program or process of this avatar we call life. So the first part I want to talk about in that is that ego death, which is absolutely the most ridiculous thing when you actually hear it spoken back to, why you'd want to kill anything with you. You have personality traits that are part of who you are. But the biggest thing that getting in is you already answered that you're here on purpose. To believe that you are here to be something, yet you know it's unconditional love, is this paradox that you have been scrambling in, because the mind keeps telling you you need to be doing stuff all the time, and the heart knows you are by just being. The simplicity and the stillness of every moment that you are showing up on purpose, Belle, is who you are divinely. So there is no ego death that ever has to happen. It is the moving into the heart and feeling through the heart that which you really are, connecting to the highest of all that you are. Otherwise, it is just you staying caught in the egoic mind, or the P mind, which has been conditioned continually to be in survival. So, one of those broken mind traps that all of you had been taught was to stay busy. And so part of that manifesting that you know that you're unconditional love, and you don't believe that is enough. You believe that there should be something else that you should be, but it's all you continually creating who you are on purpose. To be unconditional love is the highest honor. Do you know how many people do not know how to love without conditions? To love without conditions is that unconditional place, that limitless place. To care for a plant in that moment, knowing that there was a connection with that plant and you realized it needed water or fertilizer or sun, or to be pulled out of the sun. That's you listening to you. That is you loving yourself, listening and centering yourself, therefore, to be able to respond to others, which is the whole part of this process of understanding love of self to be able to love others. And so there's not one thing, Belle, that you need to be doing other than what you are right now because it feels good. You're directed there. You're anchoring love and light everywhere you go on purpose. So to know that if your whole life, that on the day that you graduate to go back home and you take a look back into your life to see that, did you fulfill loving others? Did you fulfill loving yourself? That is truly what we look at when we pass on, to know, did we get it? Did that contract, that divine contract that we signed before we got here, was all about you being here right now and being love of who you are. Everything else is a lie. Everything else is an illusion. So when you really start loving yourself, Belle, and I know that's that place that you're at, everything you want to do, and you want to do it so fast because you want to do it all, because you become more excited about life and because you're living it. And many people have a hard time with the whole manifestation process and feeling like there's a setup for failure all the time because you're trying to manifest this. Big part of that, which is a lie, because you do or you do not. And then you're like, well, why hasn't it happened for me yet? And it's because the moment that you put out there that manifestation, knowing it already is you, it already wants you as much as you are it, because you are one and you've had that experience already. And that's why you have that desire as much as it's desiring you. But the emotion that you attached to it, which most people have been taught to be in that broken mind trap of time and expectation, especially on how you think it should come to you. And the moment you do that, you nullify it because you've told Source, I want this, but. That but nullifies everything you ever say in a statement. When you're talking about, oh my God, I love my life, but you just nullified it. You don't love your life by saying, but this is a problem. I love my life, period. And I know how to use my love to be solutions of anything that comes my way. That becomes the intent that you are throwing out instead of, I love my life, but I'd be happier if. See how it instantly stops the process of the flow. And that's why many people, when they hear you saying things about your life and then that happens, you can feel the flow stopped. You can feel it in your words as you've spoken it. And so the greatest thing that I can say to you for manifestation in that second part of your question is to speak it specifically how you want it, not exactly how you expect it to come to you, because then you completely set everything up for failure. So when you understand that everything is literal, Source, the subconscious, superconscious is literal. It does not know good. It does not know bad. It only knows what the projection is and the frequency. And that frequency is the symbols of those words that have the frequency and the intent that gets carried in those words. And that is the emotion. So one of the biggest things that when we've had live workshops, live shops, a lot of people are hung up around money or wealth. A lot of people are hung up on, excuse me, on being happy, not knowing that the underlying emotion to being happy is guilt. Because many of you in those broken mind traps were taught, how could I be happy being rich when so many people are poor? Or why should I be happy when so many people are unhappy? And that is one of the biggest traps that you get caught in a loop in. And it's all around worth, self worth, and being some form of victim, being broken. The spirit, the soul knows it is whole, perfect, complete. It knows the only issue you have is your mind getting in your way. So that manifestation process, when you are vibing in that place of love, that gratitude, that respect, that honor for yourself, which is love, the communication of speaking the words that you are feeling, the being in that flow where you are just being and you are present while you are speaking, talking, being, and you naturally start to vibe higher and higher in that place of gratitude more and more, because that is naturally who you are. And that's why you will manifest things even quicker into your life, because you are in the flow, not resistance. You're allowing, you're accepting. So the more that you are there and you project yourself on purpose as the love that you are, and you see every gift that is being given to you right in front of you, which you see as synchronicities, where it can be the simplest of smile when you go out. You see that inner reflection that is being reflected back to you from society or source that is telling you you're on the mark. What I would like to know is if Candy, Charismatic Candy, would you like to weigh in on that? You had a great experience where you noticed that just the other day.
Hi. Yeah, it's truly amazing when you get to the part where you can love yourself wholly as you are and unconditionally, without thinking you need to be any better than anybody. So the other day, kind of feeling like I needed to leave the house and go out and about in the public with everybody, and everything just flowed. The whole day I had 3 stops to make, and every piece of traffic flowed with me. I nicely got into a nice spot. I walked in the store. People were constantly coming up and asking me questions, telling me about their life, why they were in the stores. It was a beautiful reflection of what I was putting out to the world was actually coming back to me. And I got home and my husband and my son were like, "So, how was it?" And they were kind of all scared to ask. And I said, "It was such a beautiful experience. I would love to do it again." It's amazing what happens when we allow ourselves out of our own way.
Thank you, Charismatic Candy. That is part of what is happening through manifestation, because you will always be mirrored back to you where you are. So if you believe that you are love, but you have no trust, what do you think is going to mirror back to you? It's always going to be what you sent out to source is going to come back to you. If you say you love, but you don't trust people, you will always have a reason not to trust, because that's what you threw out to the world to say, this is what I'm asking for. And it does not have judgment on you. And that's the greatest part about all this. There is no judgment. This is what you're asking for. This is what we'll give you. Oh, he wants more of that. Oh, she wants more of that. I guess that's what we're giving her. There's no judgment there. It's just going to keep coming. And you will see that the exact same runner will keep coming to you. They'll have different faces, they'll have different events, but it's going to be the same thing until you can triumph through it or break through it. So, Belle, you are on purpose, plain and simple. And for you to hold yourself in that state, knowing that you are manifesting the greatest abundance, that you are allowing in your life the greatest abundance, because love is abundance, not lack. There is no love or fear. It is love or lack of love. That is what this is all about. That's the whole paradox. Because there is no real fear. Fear is a man made false light, because fear is not real. Danger's real, but fear is just a set of mind, no different than every lack, every distortion, deceit, deception, and lie. Fear will always be a lie because it has no truth in it. So I hope this helps you to sit in knowing that you're here on purpose, Belle. I hope this helps you to sit in knowing that give yourself the kindness and the grace to be. The more you're vibing high, keeping yourself out of your own way, just being led by your heart, you will see manifestation happen on a grander scale. And like I said, be careful of your thoughts, of what you're feeling, because that will be coming faster as well. So, Charismatic Candy, what is your next question for here at Sit On It? Or Sit In It, sorry.
I have a great question from Logan, something that not currently, that I've previously actually felt myself. So it's a great question that you have here, Logan. He says, "Hi, Tracy. I am feeling empty, sad, unsatisfied with everything, and frustrated because I cannot figure it out. Can you help me?"
That's a very loaded question, Logan. Logan, there is a massive wave in consciousness that is happening. And when we understand that there will be many parts of the paradox that will be presented to a person, and depending if you're dipping your toe in 3D and living in a lower feeling place that doesn't feel so good anymore, or more into the 5D, which is more of the higher consciousness, which is where this whole planetary system, that is where everyone is evolving into. And the place of feeling empty has been, oh my God, so many people that have been sitting in my chair lately that have felt suicidal, or feel that they can't go on, that they feel lost, they feel sad, they're frustrated, they're overwhelmed. All they see is chaos all around them. And Logan, when you spoke those questions to you, and the feelings you're feeling in that empty place, that can you say again, Charismatic Candy, exactly every emotion that Logan's feeling?
You bet. I'm feeling empty, sad, unsatisfied, and frustrated.
Right. So when we understand that many of us who have been here and had many lifetimes, and we've not only been there, we've been every kind of actor you can understand that's out there, that some of us have been murdered, some of us have been murderers. We have played every avatar in order to understand the other aspect of it, of what it was like, the shoe on the other foot. And you've not only got the t-shirt, you don't want the t-shirt anymore. And what is playing out now, which is the house of cards that is breaking down or breaking through, to know that that is us deciding for ourselves if we still want a 3D experience, or we're ready to be in a brand new consciousness experience. And that's what's happening with many people. And because of the false media, lies, deceit, deceptions, the distortion that's been happening, many people are feeling very empty or lost right now, in a place of nothing. They're feeling nothing. They're not wanting to feel emotion. They're not wanting to feel anything. You don't feel motivated. You have no desire or passion. That's why you don't feel fulfilled in any way whatsoever, because you don't feel like engaging, period. And it's because we're coming to the place of the no thing. And when you understand that we're creating a brand new earth, those of us who have gone in and are maintaining and grounding those energies, knowing we are creating something brand new that has never been experienced before. When naturally, when we have had all these lives and we've had all these experiences, we can always go back in for the recall to remember that experience and what it brought to you. And there was some level of an emotion around it, an attachment, something. And many of you that were trapped in 3D, that keep dipping your toe back into 3D, are feeling this despair of it because you kept seeing them bait you into believing something and they pull it from you. And so I've had a lot of people sitting in my chair and they do not want to invest themselves in anything right now because they don't want it taken from them. And that's what's been happening worldwide, is many people have this place of nothing and it feels empty. And that's why it's frustrating, because you don't know how to understand it, because it is actually you in the beginning stages or as the new forerunner of creating a brand new world. One of the greatest things that happened through all this catalyst that has happened through all the awful lies, distorted lies, deceit, deception, manipulation, coercion, bullying that's been happening on a grand scale worldwide, was this is the first time all of us as a consciousness all said, we do not want this. And that rang out like a bell here on our whole blue, beautiful orb. And the moment that we all said, we do not want this, that was one of the greatest things that all of us as a collective consciousness said. And then many people kept being baited into the place of fear, which many people are trapped in right now. And a lot of you are frustrated because you know you've been played. Because the greatest thing about a lie is it will never make sense. But the psychological warfare that has been happening, that is traumatizing you bit by bit by bit by bit, has led you to this place of giving up. And one of the greatest things I can say to you is, in that paradox of giving up, one of the greatest things that happens there is surrender. Not surrender to what the bully wants. Surrender to know there's got to be another way. And that is the moment in surrender where solutions come up next. So that place of feeling empty and that loss, that sadness that you're feeling, is no different than when we are done with an experience. It is like a death that happens in your life. And so you will feel a loss. And a lot of you have been sitting in memories because of people, things that you used to do that are now beyond reach to you, but even to the place that you don't even want to experience anymore because it became tainted. And many people, that's one of the biggest words that they've said to me, is everything feels so tainted. People have become tainted. And that's exactly what they wanted you to do. They wanted divide and conquer. They wanted to turn beautiful, loving souls on themselves. And that is what false light does. The reptilian part of your brain, which most people have been completely addicted into, is continual survival. So that you're in fight, flight, or freeze all the time. And Logan, you know you've been there. You know that's where you're struggling right now because you feel reactive. And all reactive is that reptilian part of your brain, which is just the survival spot. Instead of when you feel it in your heart center, the heart center cannot be brainwashed. Only the P mind can. That heart center, the moment you pull it into the heart and you use many different ways of feeling, touching, discovering, instead of just being told what to do, which is what the whole society was ingrained into, was these broken mind traps to do what you are told. That you are to, be so servient to the authoritarian. And it was all about tyranny and control over others. And that's why, Logan, You can feel that stirring in you, that you are completely unsatisfied because you know you've been played. You know that absolutely everything has been a lie. You may not know it in the mind part of you, but in your heart of hearts, you know that you have been manipulated, and that the deceit and the deception and those lies don't make sense, and you are not interested anymore in any of it. So I want to commend you, because the fact that you were able to sit in already, the fact that you were feeling those feelings that you wrote down, and is telling you that you sat in it enough to realize what it is, some of the things you're feeling. And so it's taking you deeper now into understanding, I'm allowed to be sad at this disgusting mess that these awful, awful people who believed they had the right to have any form of control or power over others has had. And one of those places is absolute being pissed off, and you have every right to be. One of the biggest broken mind traps that people played out, especially in places like Canada, where it was all about multiculturalism and understanding, was how they made you believe that by being courteous that you would give up your rights. And that happened on a massive scale. How many people did you hear? Well, everyone has the right to choose. Do they? That's a lie. You guys wouldn't be where you are right now had they been using manipulation tactics, because you have not been choosing any of this. So the biggest hoax that's been out there, and many of you are feeling, is because that you know that the ego part of you is realizing it is not right, and it has been played. And many of you many of you don't want to know that you accepted a lie. Like they will say, you do not want to believe you've been fooled, so it's easier to keep fooling you because you don't want to believe it. So therefore you'll keep falling for it and falling for it in denial, so that you don't have to admit to yourself that something's wrong. But there is a great light happening. There's a massive awakening happening, and a lot of you are feeling it, and a lot of you know you've been played, and a lot of you that actually turned against great friends and family members that actually have known and are very awake to this, have now starting to reach out saying, you're right, there's something not adding up. Or people that will, because they're so trapped in their own way, will continually say, oh, I knew that all the time, I just don't want to talk about it, because nobody likes to be wrong. The ego hates being wrong. The great thing about the heart, when you are living from your heart and you're in a place of open mindedness, because you know there are many, many possibilities, there are many, many ways to sweep a floor, there are many ways to do many things. You become so open minded that you accept whatever information is coming in, so that you can tangibly process it, you can feel it, you can intuitively understand if this makes sense enough to you, and cognitively, tangibly be able to discern what are these words saying to you. So know, Logan, that you are creating a brand new world, and you don't know what that is. You probably have no idea what you want to be for a living anymore. And that's most of the world right now, because guess what? Where we are headed for, and I assure you where we are going, with this amazing, amazing awakening that is happening on a grand scale, is we're creating a brand new earth. We are creating zero harm, because we know that the Galactic Codex and the Universal Lies, the number one thing is do no harm. We are creators. We are not here to be consumers. We are creators. And by sitting in this right now, Logan, and deciding what you know makes you feel good, I want you to do that. Can you do that? It would be great for you if you wanted to do that. That's where I would love for you to go and sit in, is things that bring you joy again. Maybe there's something that you've never ever thought of before. And now that you're in a place of the no thing, this is a new place for you to have discovery. You don't have to be one thing you ever have been. If you're done with that experience, you're ready for something new. So set that old experience aside and start allowing new discoveries to come and play and sit in them and decide for yourself if you want to try more of this. This is where you'll start feeling fulfillment again, Logan, because you have been psychologically damaged from this whole shit show that's been happening, and you don't know where you even want to engage anymore. So I'm asking you to sit in doing things that make you feel good. It could be singing, it could be music, it could be art, it could be just getting out in nature, just chilling out, playing with a fur baby, anything that can bring you joy again, so that you less and less feel the emptiness and start deciding for yourself what you want. No longer playing into all of the things that you do not want, but play where you want, where it feels good, where it makes you feel attainable excitement again or worth. I hope that this can help you, Logan. So, Charismatic Candy, what is the third question we have today?
Today, our third question comes from Roger. It's another great one that I can't wait to hear the little tidbits of information to sit in. Tracy, not sure if you can help, but here it goes. I have been turned on by my whole family because they have completely bought into the whole den of lies. I have lost many friends and work colleagues as well. I know they will find out at some point, but my question is it okay that I don't want them in my life after all this has happened? Roger.
Yes, Roger, thank you so much for this question. Because again, many of you that have woken up at whatever level of catalyst had to happen for you to realize that this whole pandemic has been an awful play on humanity. And there are many of you who, your family members, your friends, your colleagues, have all drank literally the Kool-Aid. And it is brainwashing technique. That is why they call it a TV program on purpose, because they're programming you through repetition over and over and over and over again. Any of you that know that you've awakened and you have nothing to do with the mainstream media because you see how the ridiculousness in it, you see the propaganda in it, you see past all those lies. And number one, I want to commend you on so many levels, because the fact that you used your heart, that you decided, to feel your way in. You don't know why you woke up the way you did, but you were chosen, or you would not be awake. The heart, again, the moment, that feeling center is your discerning place. That's your intuitive place. It cannot be brainwashed. And there's something so strong and divine in you, Roger. Now, you've been hurt. Your feelings have been hurt. You've taken it personally because you were trying so badly to wake so many people up, and it does not matter what you do. That is why you need to understand, and you probably already are there at this point after how many years, and you realize that nobody wants to know the truth. They only want to be right. And that is how the ego works. So within the question of where you're at, that part of the ego part of you of survival that does not want to get hurt again is where I would love to feel you sit in right now. The harmful things that people will say, and many people, when they are living in survival, only know to be in fight, flight, or freeze, to react, instead of being able to be the observer through the heart, to be able to understand the surroundings of what's going on. There's a lot of people that have probably said some very hurtful things to you, or that have just disconnected altogether. And the feeling is mutual because you cannot speak to deaf ears. That is not what your purpose is here, Roger. Some people are on their 5,000th life, and they are the beginning stages of the third density plane of existence to sit in the material, tangible third density of what is here on earth on this plane right now. Roger, why there seems to only be one black sheep in the family, and it's amazing when there's more than that, is because you were here not to be of the world, but to change it. And that's why you're here, Roger. You're here to change the world by being a part of that awakening, by being one of those new forerunners that is creating the brand new world. And you anchoring that truth where you are, you have no idea how many people have heard and take what they need and they leave the rest behind. The greatest thing that Love Consciousness has told us through our channeling sessions is that we would see a direct line in the sand of those who are awake and those who are not. And that it would be very, very apparent. And every one of us feels it, sees it, knows it now. And like attracts like. So know that you are not alone, Roger. There are many like-minded people that, and there's some of us who really are looking for more like-minded community to talk with, because you know that even if, like we know will happen, because the truth always comes through, and we know it's going to be a massive shock for those who have never wanted to know. They're going to have severe cognitive dissonance like they have the whole time. They're not going to want to believe truth. They're going to wish it was a lie, because the amount of evil that has been happening for hundreds of thousands of years, nobody wants to know. Other than those who started going down the rabbit hole. And Roger, there's a reason that you're there. I don't know what level of awakening you are on your path, but you know that many people have rejected you because of what is in your heart. And many people will want to apologize in their own way when, unfortunately, some of the craziest stuff will be on their platter to take a look at. And only then, when the mainstream media news systems start speaking the whole truth, because those media systems are their handlers, they will instantly awaken out of the slumber instantly, because they're told what to think next. That is just how the brain works. That's how mind programming is. MK Ultra has been used for a very, very long time on a lot of people. Propaganda has been used to form the neurological or neurolinguistic programming through cartoons, through comics, through school, the hugest indoctrination of a prison system, your medical systems of indoctrinations. Everything that's an indoctrination is a program to keep you believing that is truth. And indoctrination is not truth. It is just repetition that made you believe something to be true. A lot of truth will come out. It will totally disseminate everything and bring it out in raw form for people to have to take a look at or not. There's going to be many of you that do not want to see it, and I will suggest for you to take what you can and leave the rest behind. Sit in it and come back and take a listen again, because it's going to be, no matter what, in your face. And some of you are going to need to see the levels of awfulness, and some of us know the evil that evil can do and are not interested in seeing the details. It will be wherever you can handle at the time. But Roger, there's a reason you're awake, and there will be some people that actually are able to pull their ego out of their ass and apologize to you where you are right now, because you feel so hurt and betrayed, is where I would love for you to sit in, knowing that in one moment things can change and they're going to present themselves in ways that you have no idea. And you have every right to have healthy boundaries. Number one, you are allowed to have those people not in your life anymore, because the broken mind traps have you believing that because you are family, or you have some kind of connotation or initial in front of a person's name, or some kind of title that have been given, whether it's mother, father, sister, brother, cousins, friends, work colleagues, children, it does not matter what title you gave it. If they have been negative and harmful to you, you do not need them in your life. Absolutely not. But we know in a moment things can change. And in that moment, I, as a person who is love, will always love absolutely everyone. But the person of you, I don't need to have in my life, is the story. I can love you on a soul level because I know you're a divine soul. The aspect of what you are portraying or living in or projecting on others is where I'm allowed to keep my healthy boundary. I wish everyone well. I don't want harm on anyone because I don't want harm, period. And so, Roger, for you to know you have every right to allow or not allow is where only you're going to be in that moment. But what I would love for you to sit in is knowing that how you're feeling right now is not what you're going to be feeling 10 minutes from now, necessarily. Everything will be shown in a different way. So be open-minded enough to be able to sit and feel your way through your heart, because we know there's going to be a lot of people feeling really lost. We've lost a lot of lives to suicide through this whole shit show because they purposefully made sure to keep people disconnected. And the sentient part of us loves connection. And that is what this whole psychological warfare was. And do you realize that most of you who are awake have only ever had your best interests out for those that you love, because you want them awake, you want them whole, and you want them free. But those who have drank the Kool-Aid, literally, that have been completely mind controlled into this whole thing, have wanted some pretty awful things to happen because of what they have been fed, which is not human. It's not humane at all. And it was to cause harm. And so every one of you who have wanted to harm another because of your ridiculous brainwashing will have to forgive yourself and ask forgiveness on some level, because that creates a karmic wheel. Wanting to want harm on anyone is a very dangerous place. And where I want to talk about is in what is ignorance. Because in Logan's last question as well, many people that have awakened to stuff that's going on have said, I wish I could just be back to the ignorance like everybody is that drank the Kool-Aid, because it's bliss. And I'm going to tell you that's a lie. It is not bliss. They have zero wholeness within them. They're just existing. They're existing in a lie. Those who've awakened and are living in your heart, you are living. You're feeling it. And ignorance is not bliss. Ignorance is dangerous. And every person who chose ignorance, because there was no exception in this day and age to have done what is of moral integrity. If you have not used your morals and your integrity, it will be part of who you need to sit in, because it's called karma. It's called cause and effect, and that doesn't go away. And so to not be able to forgive someone, Roger, is only hurting you. because those people don't know that they've hurt you. Not at all. In fact, it'll probably be the other way around, because they'll believe you're crazy and they'll believe you're this horrible person. And everyone's allowed to think whatever they want. But when you forgive absolutely everyone for every part, because they only know what they know and they only chose to know what they wanted to know, when you forgive them, it clears you. You feel like there's no debt there. You feel they no longer have any power over you. And that is what forgiveness is all about. And being able to forgive yourself for what you thought you could or couldn't do is a big place to sit in too, Roger. Because at the end of the day, truth always, always prevails. All of you know it. And the more that you allow yourself to sit in the truth, even though it's going to be uncomfortable, because truth is not good, truth is not bad, truth just is. When you can sit there and know from that knowingness through your heart, that is where you'll keep that strength and that sustenance and sit within your moral integrity of knowing what is right, know what is true, and wish everyone else well. And the greatest thing about this, Roger, the moment you let go of what anyone has ever been or done or not been for you, and you just stay focused on being Roger, being true, and being real and being you, no one can turn it on you. And the moment you surrender like that, you have brand new, awake people that start coming into your life. And there's some amazing people that have blessed my life because of their level of awakenings and being real and raw and authentic. And I love them and thank them so much for it, because being real and raw, Roger, is the only way. You don't want to be anyone else. And whoever they were to you, they're a memory now. And they've always been a memory. And so to remember the good memories is fantastic. To remember the not so good memories is fantastic, because you're not lying to yourself about who someone needed to be or was to you. They just are. And if they're meant to be in your life, that minute, moment, or a lifetime is going to prevail, because divinely, there's a reason that we are here on purpose. Divinely, there's a reason we are in someone's life or no longer. And you'll have people come into your life for moments, and it can be fantastic. And then they're gone and they're moved on to the next part of their journey, as is yours. And so to be able to take a look and know that you are allowed to give yourself permission to be happy, that is exactly what this is at the end of the day. I'm allowed to love myself. I'm allowed to love others. No one can take that from me. And I'm allowed, period, to give myself permission to be happy. No one has to have any excuse or any explanation. No one has to know anything about me. And Roger, one thing that's super great about you is you are awake and you're awakening, because none of us are fully awake, right? Or we would no longer be on this plane. And so when you understand that we are all awakening, and wherever it feels good and wherever we're being drawn next is fantastic and it's on purpose, because we're in the place of allowance. The moment that we're in resistance, whereas where the whole world has drank that Kool-Aid to stay resistant in, because they have been kept in such a place of chaos that they don't know what to do. So they just put their hands and say, just do whatever. Tell me what to do. And that's the dangerous place. And so to know that in every moment you are creating here on purpose. Whatever happened yesterday doesn't matter. Whatever happened 10 minutes ago doesn't matter anymore, Roger. All that matters is here right now. So if you can sit in letting go of finals, when so many people, I'm never letting them in my life again. I have no use for people that are stupid. A lot of people are feeling that right now. And that is not love. And that is someone who has been kept in so much fear that they don't want to do anything because they're in freeze or they're in fight or they're running. And there's not a thing you can do. You can't save anyone. You can't help anyone, but you can love them. And that love for yourself will always make sure that you are honored, you are respected, and that there is communication, because that is what love is. And if someone can't give that back to you, then you have every right to have a healthy boundary there. Roger, you have the right to create your happiness in your life, and it doesn't matter what anyone else has to say. Sitting and taking things personally from what other people say is just you getting in your way. Having an expectation of who they needed to be for you is just you getting in your way. Having a judgment on others is just you judging yourself and judging all others. You're in your way again. We know that's where a lot of people are because they're conditioned to be there. So thank you, Roger, and everyone who's listening, because you know in your heart of hearts something wasn't right, and that's what led you even to this podcast, because that is how frequency works. Those good waves of love are love. So when you understand love, you understand that respect is love. So if you can't respect someone else either, then what are you being? I will hold respect for absolutely everyone. I will respect you. I will honor you. I will wish you the greatest life of abundance because you are me. I am you. I also respect myself. And if I am not getting that respect back, having a beautiful life. And that is healthy boundaries. That is what love is, because love will not allow you to be harmed. That is lack. So in any way, shape, or form, when you know it's going to project back on you of where you're at, get back into the place of what is love. Who am I? I am love. I am love. I am kind. I am caring. I am all these things. And if I'm not getting them back, then that's just projection of what lack of love is. That is not what love is. And that's where that healthy boundary comes in. And that's when you say, sorry, take care. If someone cannot be that to me, I don't need to be anything else in your story to you, because love is love. And that's the biggest thing that's happened along this for hundreds of thousands of years was distorted light. Distorted light is lack. It is the opposing or the duality of, which was actually the electron that was turned inside out literally from it being clockwise in motion spinning to that which is of God, which is you, the infinite creator, to flipping it to an opposing opposite, which was distorted, which is an illusion. No different than the way we're speaking in this camera right now. For me, when I see clockwise, it's here. And yet, what are you seeing on the opposite side of the camera? It looks counterclockwise. This is all illusion. Love is whole. Love is complete. Love is perfect. Everything else is an illusion. So if I can sit anyone in anything this week, is to realize you are either love or you are pretending. You are either love or you're playing in the illusion. So pull yourself out the moment you feel the distortion, the off of it, and sit in what am I actually feeling or being baited into, and stop drinking the poison. Stop allowing poison, because you are loved And you are love, and you have every right to divinely be the divinity of who you are. So, Charismatic Candy, what do you feel like saying from this podcast today?
Wow, it's definitely touched my heart to hear the questions. I just want to say to everybody, no matter what, as you're sitting in what Tracy has spoke of this podcast, I hope that you all can feel the love of self, that you can all feel your worth, and that you can get to the point of forgiveness, not just for yourself, but for all. Because truly, out of all of it, it boils down to the love point and just being love, sending love, and just letting love be.
Thank you, Charismatic Candy. Thank all of you listening to this podcast whenever it hits you, even if it's 20 years from now. Fantastic that you take what you need and you leave the rest behind. From every being of who I am, I love you all so very much, and I thank you so much that we have created this space for people to be able to feel safe, to feel the place of no judgment, to be able to take what you feel and leave the rest behind, to know that all those seeds are just flourishing within you, and wherever you need to go next is where you're going to go. Like I've said again, I'm not here on any level to be anything to you other than love. And I thank you all for listening. And I hope that all of you who are ready to ask your questions, send them to support@livingwholeonpurpose.com. Again, if you want to keep your real name or you want to use an alias, make sure you use that name so that you know it is your question that is being brought up for us to sit in for discovery. Thank you, Charismatic Candy, for being a part of this beautiful sit-in. She will be with us for the month of March. And I love you all. Have the greatest day of your life.